Night one of the NFL draft was wild. There was trades aplenty and a few surprise picks. And we're going to go over all that today. I'm going to give you my day one grades for the 2022 NFL draft class. But what's crack-a-lackin' is your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. I will be live streaming again for day 2 and day 3. So if you want to join me, then come kick back and let's talk NFL draft. Without further ado, let's go ahead and do the nitty gritty. Let's go over the Cardinals. We're going alphabetical order, so hang with me. So the Cardinals actually traded out of the first round, and that was to acquire Hollywood Marquise Brown. So the Ravens sent Marquise Brown along with the 100th pick to acquire the Cardinals pick 23. I guess that works. Like, Cardinals get an extra third. They get that wide receiver I guess they so desperately wanted. I think he's coming into, he should be coming into a contract year. So, it's good. If he doesn't stay longer than this contract, then I don't know. You just kind of like threw away your first for a third rounder, and 1 year of production. It's a risky move, but maybe one that the Cardinals needed to make. Maybe they can get that vertical game. I don't know. I find that hard to believe given Cliff Kingsbury and his fondness for the horizontal passing game. But I guess that's kind of a wait and see. Don't really have a grade for this trade. But it felt a bit steep. Just giving up your first rounder. I know you get a third in the process, and if Hollywood Brown hits, then he hits. But it's a real gamble. It's a real gamble. Let's go over the Atlanta Falcons. As they stayed put, they grabbed Drake London. Wasn't my wide receiver 1 on the board. Wasn't my wide receiver 2. But he ended up being the first wide receiver taken. Overall, I gave it a B. Listen, it's a position of great need. And still, Drake London was 16th on my board. So overall, I don't think it was that bad. And I'm going to be pretty lenient when it comes to these day 1 grades. So I gave it a B. That's still going to be a hell of a combo with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Just mismatch nightmares. Now they just got to acquire some vertical separators. Some separators in general. On to the Baltimore Ravens, who had themselves a freaking field day. First, staying put, acquiring Kyle Hamilton. I actually got that pick right in my pretty good predictive mock. Banger pick. Just a banger pick. And then this was the benefit of the Hollywood trade, and they got the 23 pick, but then they continued to actually trade down, and I really thought they were going to somehow sneak out with Jermaine Johnson, but instead they actually ended up trading, let's see, where's this next pick, to the Bills, and acquired a 4th rounder in the process. I'm going to throw this into the calculator real quick. So 23 tab 25, and they got what, 130, and overall actually it's very similar value, so looks like a very fair trade. But they grabbed Tyler Linderbaum, a position in need. How is he gonna fit to the to the scheme? It's a bit questionable, but if you don't know, like, typically scheme matters the least when it comes to linemen in general, whether it's the offense or defensive linemen. There's an old saying that scheme matters less as you get closer to the line of scrimmage. So I'm not too worried about Linderbaum. He's a hell of a player. He was 18 on my big board, and just, again, one of my favorite players in the draft. This is an easy A for the Baltimore Ravens. I guess let's go to the Buffalo Bills, as they traded up, and they traded, like I said, it was a very fair trade. They traded for Kaiir Elam, and I think that's about right on the value. And I think it's very interesting that it looks like they're going to be trying to press a whole lot more, as we saw that they deployed press quite a bit against teams like the Chiefs. So acquiring Elam, though, I think Booth may have been a better scheme fit in terms of the coverage. but I could see if they're going more towards press why Kaiir might be their guy. I give this an A. I'm a big fan of Kaiir Elam. Good on you, Buffalo Bills. Let's go to the Carolina Panthers, who actually stayed put, took Ken McWandy. With all the trades going on, they couldn't get one. And you know what? I don't mind them not reaching on a quarterback, especially with only one quarterback going into the first round and it being pick 20. I give this an A. It's an easy A. Listen, they address the offensive line. It's a position of need. Kem, he was 4, I believe, on my total big board, so good on y'all. Bears didn't have a pick. Bengals did, though, and they went with Daxton Hill. Listen, I'm going to give an A to this because I think I had Daxton Hill 31 on my total big board. I'm just kind of curious with the scheme fit because he was mainly used as a slot this past season. And it feels like they kind of got the slot on lock with Mike Hilton. So you got to believe, okay, they're going to be playing him a bit more deep. Jesse Bates, another cat that, okay, for all intents and purposes, can serve that role. But, I mean, it gives you 2 nice deep safeties. And Bates is a guy that definitely could play more around the line. Scrimmage allows you to be more versatile. They do have Von Bell there, so a bit curious, but it's a good player nonetheless. Easy A. I'm going to be dishing out a lot of A's. Browns didn't have a pick. Dallas Cowboys did, and they went with Tyler Smith. This is one actually I predicted, both in my predictive and I did in my what I would do draft, and I gave it a... Upon first glance, I want to throw a B here, but I know the upside. I got him. He was 33 on my total big board. It's position of need. I think I'll give it an A. I'll be lenient. Again, I'm going to be lenient here. Considering Zion already went off the board, Kenny Green was actually already off the board. I did think Linderbaum, I kind of think he's center only, so that just kind of means you're giving up on Tyler Biotish, who is center only, and I don't think Biotish is necessarily that bad. Tyler Smith comes in and immediately plugs in at left guard, and maybe is your eventual left tackle of the future, so I did like that. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with an A there. Denver Broncos, no pick. Detroit Lions, though, they were busy boys. I'll say that. So Aiden Hutchinson, that's an easy A, right? He quite honestly should have been the first, and if not the second, depending on how you feel about KT. We'll get to the Jags in a minute and what they did, but I don't mind Aiden Hutchinson. That's a great pick. That is a great pick. Then they trade up, and let's talk about what all they gave up to trade up, because we got to talk about the trade. Because initially I was like, that's a horrible trade for the Lions. What are they doing? Because I saw that they traded up. I didn't see that they got the Vikings second rounder. I thought they traded a first, second, and third to move up. So they gave up 32. They gave up 40. No. They gave up 32, 34, and 66. 34 and then 66. And I didn't see initially the Vikings giving away their second rounder, which is 46. So they move up 20 spots, and they all end up moving down, a hot 12 spots in the second. Put in the calculator, and it's actually still a ton of great value for the Vikings. So it's not bad considering it's the 66 pick. I don't mind that. I think initially reported it wasn't the 66th. But I believe that's the only third rounder Detroit has. Not positive on that, but from the trade calculator, it says the Vikings won the trade. I think that's a bit iffy. If anything, it's closer to about even trade. Is what it is. I like Detroit being active and going out and grabbing their receiver. They have a hell lot of vertical threats, from Amon-Ra St. Brown, who could also tear it up underneath, to DJ Chark, who could tear it up, in the deep variety. And then add in Jameson Williams, this guy that's got elite speed and start-stop ability. I love that. This is an easy A for the Detroit Lions. I love what they did. Green Bay Packers was another team who did trade into the first, but that was because of Devontae. And they end up getting a Devontae themselves with Devontae Wyatt, which I think that's solid value. I think he was 27 on my big board, or maybe that's just because he was 17. I just kept putting him at 27 to Tampa. And then they grab Quay Walker, which is a bit more of the questionable one for me, because he wasn't the top linebacker on my board, but I get why. He's younger, and I think in terms of athleticism, he tested out a bit better than Devin Lloyd. So he's at least a whole year and a half younger than Devin Lloyd, and tested out longer. Well, not longer, just slightly less. But yeah, no, from a physical standpoint, they're very similar, except for Quay Walker tested out just amazingly in the triangle drills, being the agility, the 3-cone, the short shuttle, and Quay being faster. So I could get why there was a lot of news that Quay could sneak into the first. I didn't expect him to be the first linebacker taken, but the Packers did take him at 22. Not dressing a receiver. Like, for the Quay Walker, I understand. I gave that a B. Why it's good, I mean, overall, like, I think it's solid, but I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time bringing myself of giving their day one grade an A. If anything, I think I'm going to stick with B. That just feels right. Not addressing receiver. To be fair, receivers flew off the board, like, very quickly. So hopefully maybe they could get that, or address that in day two. We'll see. They are picking, what, 53 is their first pick, so they might have to trade up if they really want to get that next tier of receivers, or maybe they have like a Jalen Tolbert available there, but I don't know. It's a bit interesting, so giving them a B. On to the Houston Texans, which, listen, Derek Stingley I think is a good prospect. I had Sauce at 5, Stingley at 6. I'm giving the Stingley pick an A, and then Kenyon Green, I kind of want to give this like a soft B-, right? Because I know I get it, Houston. I know what you were trying to do. You knew who you wanted. That's who you were going to get. So you tried to trade down, knowing that he wouldn't go that high. But the only suitor they could find was the Eagles, who was a whole 2 picks away. So not entirely great. So let's just go ahead. Let's put that in the trade calculator real quick. 124, 162, 166. So 124, 162, and 166. It ends up being a fairly even trade. So I'm glad they got draft capital out of it. But Kenny Green still felt a bit rich. I thought he was more of a late first, early second type of player. Overall, I'm going to give their day one a B. Like, Kenny Green's still a hell of a good player. He's going to be playing left guard for him, which is probably his best spot in the NFL. That's where he played his best football back in 2020 there for the Aggies. So I'm going to give it overall their night a B. And then we're going to skip the Colts because they're picking tomorrow or today, depending on, I guess, I'm putting out this the day of day two. So, yeah, Travon Walker, I get it. They're picking him because the upside, he's a bulky guy. His floor is relatively high, just given his physical build and just his athletic upside, the physical tools. Still, he's a bit high. The production's not there, and to be fair, on a Georgia team that did rotate him in, like, they did rotate a lot. They like to keep their players fresh because they had the talent to. So I kind of like lean A-, B+ with the Walker pickup. And then they trade back into the first to take Devin Lloyd, which I like that. Devin Lloyd was 23 on my big board. And let's look at the trade real quick. So they gave away 106 and 180, so it doesn't seem like that bad. So they moved to 27. They give away 33, 106, and what was it? 180. 180. Oh, whoops. 180. Which, again, another relatively even trade. So, yeah, I don't mind that. I would give that an A. with Walker, I get the upside. I think overall, I just give him an A. I'll give him an A, like I get it with the upside. If Walker attains his potential, then freaking watch out, but still he's going to be a solid player, I think. And same with Devin Lloyd, he's just going to be a solid player. Quite frankly, for a team that's dealt with so much, that's just been a roller coaster ride. Let's just go with that. They could use a little bit of stability. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, they moved up to get Trent freaking McDuffie, man. I wasn't sold on them moving into the top 20, but then they moved here at 21, which that's a bit more reasonable fee. They had the draft capital to do so, so it makes sense. So they gave away 94 and 121. So let's put it into the draft calculator. They trade up for 21. They give away 29. They give away 94, correct? And 121. And this was paid with the Patriots, and we'll talk about the Patriots in a minute. So again, relatively even trade for both squads, and they get McDuffie, who was 10 on my big board, so huge plus. Karlaftis, he was at 14. This is an easy A. Again, we're giving out easy A's. Maybe I'm a little bit too lenient. Don't worry, we'll get to the Patriots. I'm a little less lenient with their draft grade. And then Zion Johnson, he falls there, or not falls, but he makes it there to the Chargers, which I was trying to get y'all Chargers fans to accept that this pick might be Trevor Penning, and they go with Zion, who I actually like better as a prospect. I think he's got a fairly safer floor than Penning. Well, we know Penning from his frame to his athletic tools that he could be really, really good, but he's also in pass protection kind of booty cheeks. With Johnson, you're getting a very good player who has tackle, center, versatility. So good here, good pick here. It's not a sexy pick, but hey, it's gonna keep Justin Herbert upright. I'll give that an A. Rams, they're not picking for a long time. Neither are the Raiders, and neither are my Dolphins. Minnesota Vikings. So we said the trade was relatively fine. Lewis Cine, I'm giving this an A. I think this is a good pick. Them coming back here getting Lewis Cine. They're also going to pick second at the pick, literally like the second pick in the second round. So they're going to get talent. Lewis Cine, I think, comes in and he ends up being maybe a slot corner or that third safety, because they do have Bynum and Harrison Smith there. I think Sullivan is more suited to that like dime corner role. So I like this. Lewis Cine, safety 2 on my board. He was 27 on my big board. Giving it an A. And then here we go. The New England Patriots. Listen, the trade down, relatively even. Cole Strange, though, was like, I think in the 80s on my big board. A very big reach. And I like Cole Strange as a prospect. I saw him as a day 2 guy. But this was an incredible reach. I think he's going to end up being a good football player. But holy moly, not only is it a reach, but it's also a reach at a very less valuable position, being the guard spot. And I told y'all Patriots fans, man. Y'all probably going to go with maybe a guard. You traded away Shaq Mason for nickels and dimes. And I guess you maybe get his eventual replacement. I don't know. Cole Strange, I think, is a guy you could maybe start early, but I don't think he will. Yeah, nah, I gave this a D. If I haven't already said it, I'm saying it now. It's a D. This was a big reach. The biggest reach of the first round. Excuse me. All right, we talked about the Saints trade up, and I thought it was fine. And they went out, got the receiver they wanted, because I mean they traded with Washington, which Washington, we thought they were in the market for a receiver. Ended up they were, and they jumped teams like what was it? The Eagles had traded up by this point. No, they haven't. They traded at 13, right? No, yes, right. Yeah, they traded with the Texans. So, regardless, they move up. They got their receiver, Chris Olave, pairing him up with Michael Thomas. That's great. Trevor Penning, I actually like the value here at 19, and I figured they were actually going to use that pick 16 to acquire Trevor Penning to jump the Chargers to take a tackle. Ended up being a receiver, but they still got Penning. I think that's great. Trevor Penning replacement. Trevor Penning, the Terran Armstead replacement. Sorry, I'm literally doing this after I just did my best available day 2 video, so not there 100%. So I think this is fine. I gave it an A. They got their players. We know the Saints. I know they firmly believe they're in win down mode, that they can win with Jameis. So they essentially they go grab a legit wide receiver threat. I like that, and they grab their tackle of the future. So solid. I don't think we need to talk about the Giants much. This is an A. Evan Neal was my number 2 overall prospect. Kayvon Thibodeau was my number 3 prospect. Yeah, no, the Giants hit a home run. So let's go ahead and talk about the Jets, because they got an easy A. I guess the one thing we could talk about is the trade up here, because all these players that they picked are in my top 11. Ahmad Gardner was 5. Garrett Wilson was 10, or was 9 on my big board, and I kind of figured he'd be the pick at 10. And Jermaine Johnson was actually at 11. So they trade up with... Where's this at? Here it is, the tight end. So they gave up 35, 69, and 163. And they actually acquired a 3rd rounder in the process too. Interesting. So 26. So let's do this. 26, tab. I hit caps. 26. They traded from, what was it? 35. They acquired 101. They traded 69. Nice. And then gave away 163. Let's see what that trade value comes out to. Relatively even. It actually says the Jets got the better deal. That's kind of cool. So, I mean, it's by like 3% in terms on the calculator, but still, that's impressive. But yeah, no, that's an easy A. They won the draft. Jermaine Johnson, turns out like they did like Johnson, but they weren't going to take him at 4. The rumor was that they were willing to take Johnson at 4, and he had this big fall. Because I imagine a lot of... I talked about this during the stream, that there were some evaluators that had Johnson as a late first rounder. So it didn't surprise me that he fell into that late first round. If he fell out of the first round, I would have been shocked. But I knew he'd come off the board somewhere there. The value was just too good. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, because, oh boy. So, they got A.J. Brown. 4 years, $100 million on the deal. Let's talk about the deal real quick, because Jordan Davis, I gave that an A. That's a good pick. They traded up for him. I don't think they gave away too much, did they? Oh yeah, no, they gave away a few day 3 picks, which is fine. They moved up 2 spots, and they got Jordan Davis, who's like a unicorn at his position. So that's good. And then for A.J. Brown, they traded the 18th pick, and then just 101. So still a 3rd rounder, but they gave away a 1st and a 3rd. That's incredible value for A.J. Brown. That's an easy A. Nah, Eagles had a really good draft. Really good draft. Being able to acquire Brown was huge. Let's talk about Kenny Pickett. Listen, the first quarterback off the board, the only quarterback to go in the 1st round. If you're not new to the channel, you know my reservations when it comes to Kenny Pickett. He literally has historically small hands. Only Michael Vick is the only quarterback to start in the NFL with sub 9-inch hands in the NFL modern era. Kenny Pickett does not have the arm strength of a Michael Vick. And despite the fake slide and all, he is not the athlete that Michael Vick is. So my opinion on Kenny Pickett was, I think he doesn't have an elite upside. You're getting a guy who I think at best is a top 8 to 12 quarterback in the NFL. And you're really just betting on he's the exception to what we've seen statistically and historically. I think still they're addressing of the most valuable position in the NFL, being quarterback. For me, it's a little dicey, especially after all the lip service Mike Tomlin gave to Malik Willis's mom. Mike Tomlin, you dog, you. I'm surprised that this wasn't Malik Willis. Honestly, I would have put money that this would have been Desmond Ridder before it was Kenny Pickett. I'm going to give it a B. It's a position of value. He may not have elite upside, but I think he's going to be solid in the NFL nonetheless. And he's not going to have to do much with a team with Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth. That's a good squad. Seattle Seahawks, they stayed put, and you know what? Props to them. I didn't expect them to go Charles Cross. He just didn't seem like their cup of tea. First off, easy A. Didn't seem like their cup of tea when it comes to the offensive line. Because Charles Cross is coming from the air raid offense. They don't run a lot of NFL-style Russian concepts. So it just didn't seem like he'd be a Seattle pick. But there's this clear tier of, here are the top tackles, and then you have Trevor Pennon, and then Tyler Smith. Like there was a clear difference there, and they stuck to their guns. They took Cross. Honestly, I had money on they'd probably go Jermaine Johnson over Cross. I thought maybe Jordan Davis was possible at this pick too, but they went Cross. I like it. Niners didn't pick in the first round. Tampa Bay Buccaneers traded out. I guess we could give a quick little grade to their trade. It came out as a fairly even trade. We'll talk about the Bucs on day 2. How about that? Tennessee Titans. Let's talk about what they did. Listen, I get it. They acquired a good amount of picks. Trading back out of the first round. Now they got that third pick. Yo, watch out for Malik Willis. They're in the second round. Third pick of the second round. Watch out for Malik Willis. I'm just going to say that. And they could probably address the offensive line in the third round. Because there's a lot of good third round prospects available for the offensive line. So essentially, to acquire an extra third rounder, they traded AJ Brown for Treylon Burks and a third rounder. On the surface, doesn't feel like it's that good. It just doesn't. But I know Burks, he might not be a complete receiver yet. He's got good upside. He's got good speed for a receiver his size. He plays physical. I don't know what else they're going to have at wide receiver. That's another big question. I'm going to give it a B for now. Let's see what day 2 holds. And then the Washington football team. This was an interesting one. Jahan Dotson, I thought, could have snuck into the back end of the first, and he ends up going 16. I mean, essentially, they traded back, acquired what? What did they acquire from the Saints? Not a whole lot, right? No, it was a fourth and a fifth and some change, right? No, third and a fourth. There we go. So, cool. They got that third that escaped them after they got Carson Wentz. And they got Jahan Dotson, who, in all honesty, feels like Curtis Samuel. Kind of does. I really thought maybe Chris Olave. And to be fair, Chris Olave had a similar comp. Or at least when I did roles, if you go to my wide receiver rankings, as high-end Z receivers with slot capabilities. But Jahan Dotson, with his size, lack of physicality, I think really gets penciled into that slot role a bit more. That's why I thought they may have went maybe with a Garrett Wilson if they wanted to move up, or Drake London, who actually first sort of wide receiver off the board. So this just felt like a neutral move. Maybe they don't buy into Curtis Samuel. I don't know. Listen, they traded back 5 spots. They got a third and a fourth out of it. Good. That's great value. They got Dotson a bit early, in my opinion, but there a lot of people love Dotson, so I gave it a B. I feel like that's safe. But before this video gets too long, join us for day 2 of our watch along, and join us for day 3. I'm gonna go get some rest. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.